Hello, we're going to take a look at two moments in football that can silence an entire room. The first is the penalty. The second is three letters, VAR. One of them is the cruelest test of nerves in the whole of sport. The other is the most argued about intervention football has ever had. Today, we'll take a look at both of them. So the next time the referee points to a spot or puts his hand to his ear, you'll know exactly what's coming. Now, penalties. Let's start with them. It's beautifully simple. If a player commits a foul, handles the ball on purpose inside their own penalty area, that big box in front of the goal, the referee doesn't just give a free kick, he gives them a penalty. It's a trip, a shove, a pull of the shirt, a handball, anything like that. If it happens in that box in front of the goal in the penalty area, they get a penalty. It's about the closest thing to a free goal that football ever offers. A chance for the player to just strike the ball with nothing but the goalkeeper to stop him. Now, here's how it works. The ball is placed on the penalty spot, 12 yards from the goal, which is a little over 10 metres. Every other player has to stand back out of the way. It's just one attacker and one goalkeeper, one against one. The keeper must stay on his line until the ball is kicked. Then the taker strikes it. From that distance, with the goal that size, the taker really ought to score, which is exactly why a penalty is such an ordeal, because you are expected to score. Missing one feels like a disaster. All the pressure sits on the one person taking it. The goalkeeper, meanwhile, has nothing to lose and everything to gain. I mean, he's under a lot of pressure. I'm not underestimating that. But people don't expect him to save it in the way they expect the kicker to score it. So the goalkeeper can emerge as an absolute hero by saving it, whereas if the kicker misses it, it's all doom and gloom and he's the worst player in the history of the sport. A lot of the time, players will completely mess up a penalty because their legs just go to jelly. They'll balloon it over the high bar from 12 yards. It's the purest test of nerves in the game. And it's the one time in this team sport when it comes down to two individuals explicitly and exclusively. Football is very much a team game. We've talked about tactics, and tactics are all about working together as a team and how they exploit their advantages as a team. But there are moments inside this team dynamic that boil down to one person against one person, and that's a large part of the excitement of it. And there's nothing quite so one-on-one as a penalty. Now, when you think of penalties, you might think of the penalty shootout, which takes place at the end of a game when the scores are even. In a knockout tournament like the World Cup, someone has to win. So if the score is level after 90 minutes and still level after extra time, the whole thing is decided by a shootout. Each team takes 5 penalties, one at a time, one after the other, and whoever scores more wins. And if they're still level after 5 each, it goes to sudden death, which isn't quite as awful and bloody as it sounds. Basically, one penalty each, round after round, until one team scores and the other misses. The tension is almost unbearable at this stage. They've played 90 minutes, they've played another 30 minutes. All their main penalty takers have taken their penalties, and now we're into sudden death. And the goalkeepers know it. You'll see them bouncing on their line, waving their arms, doing anything they can to put the goal taker off. Because in a shootout, they have the fantastic chance to become a hero and save the game, win the match. The penalty tension can begin before a ball is even kicked with a coin toss to decide who goes first. I'm sure you'll have seen this. It feels enormous at the time, but over the whole history of World Cup shootouts, it's interesting because the team going first has won almost exactly the same amount as the team going second. It makes no difference. And the pattern holds once the kicks begin. Since shootouts arrived at the World Cup back in 1978, teams have converted about 7 penalties in every 10, which sounds quite high, but when you think in normal run of play, the number is 8 out of 10 penalties scored. And the pressure's not spread evenly through the team. The first 3 penalty takers, the brave volunteers who step up when penalties are first to be taken, tend to score freely. It's the 8th penalty taker in a shootout usually taken when the whole thing is balanced on a knife edge, that's missed most often of all. So you can imagine that you've got 3 players from Team A have scored, 3 players from Team B. They've just got 2 more penalties each. Team A score their 4th penalty, so there are now 7 penalties being taken. That 8th one is really crucial, because if they fall behind then with just 1 more penalty each to take, it really throws the pressure on. So that 8th penalty taker knows how important it is. If the 7 before have gone in, he knows his role is crucial, and that tends to be the one that gets messed up. Confirming perhaps that penalty taking is a little less about the ability to kick a ball and more about holding your nerve and reducing all the tension you can as you step up to take your penalty. So it doesn't make them a worse player if they miss. It just might mean that they responded differently to the pressures on them and couldn't cope. Or we could argue that they've just simply been handed the cruelest job in sport. So, talking about cruel, let's move on to VAR. This is the thing that football fans will be left screaming at the pitch. I'm sure you've seen in pubs, it suddenly goes quiet as everyone's waiting for VAR and causes arguments everywhere. VAR stands for Video Assistant Referee, and the idea behind it is simple and sensible. For the entire history of football, the referee on the pitch had to make every decision in a split second, with his own 2 eyes, no replays, no second chances. What VAR gives him is a helper, another qualified referee sitting in a room full of screens, watching every angle of every incident. If the referee on the pitch makes an obvious mistake, the video referee can step in and say, have another look at this one. Think of an argument you've had 100 times with friends. You are certain you're right. The person you're arguing with is just as certain that they're right, and then a third person pulls out their phone, looks up the answer and settles it. That's kind of what VAR is in football. It's a third person with a phone. The only trouble is, football never quite decided whether he actually wanted the argument settled, and in some ways the argument was part of the rich tapestry of the sport. So VAR isn't there to referee the whole match again. It only steps in for clear and obvious mistakes, and only on 4 things that really matter. Was a goal legitimate? Should a penalty have been given or wrongly given? Should a player have been sent off? And now and then, has the referee booked the wrong player by mistake? That's it. Everything else stays with the referee on the pitch, who, by the way, still makes the final call, even when VAR offer their interpretation. You'll see him jog over to a little screen at the side of the pitch and take a look himself and decide. And you'll know the moment because he draws a rectangle in the air with his hands, the shape of a television screen, and that's him telling everyone a decision is being checked. So at its best, VAR is wonderful. A goal that should never have counted gets ruled out, a blatant foul that the referee missed gets punished, the right decision gets made, and fairness wins. But at its worst, oh dear, it's the celebrations that are the saddest casualty of VAR. The ball hits the net, the crowd erupts, and then everyone has to stand around for 2 minutes, slowly deflating, while someone in a darkened room draws a line across a screen to work out whether there's an offside or not. The technology can now measure that to the millimetre, which you may think is good or bad, depending on your stance, and possibly depending on whether it's your team or the opposition that benefit from it. But the goal can get chalked off because a player's armpit was a hair in front of the last defender, something no human eye could ever have seen. And people find that maddening, and you can see why. A lot of people think that the sport is art, and it's impossible to measure every little detail, every little human error from the referee, and every little human error from the players is part of the joy of the game. And that if you go away feeling the referee wasn't on your side one week, you may feel he was on your side the next week. People make errors. It's all part of, like I say, like part of the rich tapestry of sport. So a lot of people yearn for a time when if the ball went in the net, it was a goal and we all moved on, and don't want to stop and wait for people in a adjacent room staring at TV screens to work out whether it was in the net or not. Others say, no, this is big business. It's important. There's a lot riding on these matches. Financially and in terms of reputations and the futures of clubs, we should make sure the decisions are right. VAR will make sure the decision is right. Whether you agree with it or not is something for you to decide. I had a chat to a leading referee earlier about VAR. One of the points that he made was that a lot of people who criticise VAR are actually criticising the laws of the game. All VAR does is point them out. And he said, if you're sitting in a car waiting at traffic lights and there's a line you can't cross, if you cross it, you've broken the law. It doesn't matter by how much. It doesn't matter whether it's by a whole tyre or by a tiny hair's breadth. You've broken the law. And the point is that VAR will spot that, like a policeman standing there might spot it. In the next video, the one you've all been waiting for, it's what to say in the pub to sound like you've been watching football your whole life. See you then.